Okay guys, today's story is gonna be a long one, so make sure you can stay on your ass and not get some cash for long enough to get through it. Okay, so right after the Valiant heroes got their revenge on Loki, they ruined the fucking city they were trying to protect in the first place. But anyway, a bunch of dusty shit is left on the floor, and a bunch of dusty niggas try to pick it up. But then some bitch shows up and says, yeah, after ruining your city, the Avengers are gonna take your jobs too because fuck you. So the leader of the dusty niggas says, fuck out of here, and then they take the shit anyway, but secretly though. So about 8 years later we meet young Peter Pan, but wait, let's run that shit back a little. Avengers came out in 2012, yet this movie takes place like 8 years later, which would make the year 2020, but this movie came out in 2017, and as far as I can tell they're trying to pass it off like it's the president or something. But I just want to know why the movie takes place 8 years later. What's wrong with 5? But anyway, after the events of the Civil War, Peter Pan goes back home with the suit. He wants to be an Avenger so bad, but last time I checked they fucking split apart like Ike and Tina. In fact, isn't that the whole movie where he first came from was about? But yeah, the Metal Man gives Pedro a new and improved suit. It has like Siri built in and a bunch of other advanced shit. So he does some basic shit here and there, no big shit though. He goes to school with a bunch of lames. He's in a boring ass spelling team with his best friend who's a fat fuck and some other losers. One is a bitch nigga who hates him for no reason. The other is Zendaya. I'm not even gonna give her a funny description or name. She's literally just Zendaya fucking with people. She doesn't even do anything of note in the movie besides taking cheap shots on some cheap shit. In fact, Zendaya herself didn't even know there's gonna be a Spider-Man movie until after the fact. And after seeing all her scenes, I can perfectly see why. Yeah, all the trailers hype her up as the new Mary Jane. And speaking of Mary, where are all the classic characters? That nigga Ben never existed and is on as young as hell. Some niggas are mad about that, but honestly I'm cool with it, cause now she bad as fuck. And it makes sense if you think about it, cause why would a teenager's mom's sister be 100 years old? But where the hell is Harry Osborn? All I see is a fat turd. Anyway, in the spelling team there's another girl that the boy has a crush on. She's the real female character. Y'all that shows wanna shove Zendaya down our throats. False advertising fucks. So anyway, Pedro witnesses a jack move in progress at his favorite store, but he fucks up and destroys it. It turns out that the jack move was done by dust niggas from the beginning of the movie. When Pedro goes home, he's still in his spider suit, and he sees the fat fuck in his room, so now he has to share his secrets with some lame. So then they go to school, and the op nigga that hates Pedro starts some shit, so he decides to go to his crush's party to prove that he knows Spider-Man. When he gets there, Pedro fucks off and investigates the dusty niggas like he's a detective or something. He finds them trapping to Childish Gambino, and then Pedro decides to act like a spy and gets caught. Eventually, Pedro throws hands with the leader, who we're gonna call Birdman. Birdman almost turns Pedro into a pack when Iron Guy shows up and saves him. Iron Guy tells him to fuck off, so when the Dusty Men get back to base, some goon gets mad for no reason and threatens to become a liability. So then the Birdman puts him in his blunt and gives the black guy his job. But Pedro managed to finesse some equipment after the boxing match, and he finds out the Dusty Men's next move. Then Pedro rejoins the spelling team so he can look for his ops in DC. He tries to get to the weapons but gets trapped in a vault and breaks out, but he finds out that the equipment he finessed is actually a bomb that he left with the fat fuck, so he races to the Washington Memorial to save his team, including that one op for some reason. For a second I thought it would be like Danny Phantom and they all just get murked, but Pedro managed to save the day. When they get back to New York, this nigga Peter bullies Earn from Atlanta to find out where the Dusty Men are. Even after extorting the nigga for info, he still just leaves him there cause he's a quote unquote criminal. But what Pedro doesn't understand is that a Negro cannot be locking in the hood. What if Gambino got caught by the ops and now that weapon was the only thing keeping it from being a statistic? Anyway, Pedro goes to the ship where the Dusty Men now are. After doing some shit, the men manage to escape, while Pedro almost recreates the Titanic. Suddenly, Iron Guy shows up and saves the day, because as we all know, this man Robert Downey Jr. is the real main character of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So the Metal Man gets on Pedro's ass for trying to be a hero, cause it turns out that he was actually doing shit behind the scenes to help with the situation. Iron Guy is hot cause he was the only one willing to give a nigga a chance, and he blew it. So he takes away his suit and tells him that his heroine days are over. I mean, the boy still has power, so I don't know what's really stopping him from doing whatever the fuck he wants, but whatever. So Pedro goes back to school and tries to be a normal student. You know, he asks his crush to prom. Then when he goes to pick her up, he finds out that her father is none other than the Birdman. This makes Pedro piss his pants, and then Birdman goes on offense. After an extremely comfortable car ride, the Birdman shows himself to be a detective and finds out that Pedro is actually the Spider. So he tells him that if he ever does some op shit again, he'll put him and his entire family on a t-shirt. Yet for some reason this nigga Pedro still wants to stop him, so he leaves prom and finds out his next move. They try to finesse a plane meant for the Avengers, but Pedro manages to stop them. Then there's a fire and the boy even saves his op's life cause he's a good dude. But yeah, the Birdman gets arrested and the black girl's life gets ruined for no reason. After successfully destroying a family, Tony Stark plans to reward Pedro by making him an Avenger. But the boy says he doesn't want to join that lame ass squad, so he works alone. So then Pedro went back to New York and is now a permanent part of the spelling team, while continuing to fight crime with the fat fuck by his side. And that's the story. I mean, I like the movie, but if you didn't, I can see why. But I just want to know why this man Tony Stark is really in all these different movies. I mean, I get that he's like the best character, but they really love that man over at Marvel. Honestly, if Robert Downey Jr. does retire, they might have to end the franchise. He's like the face of this whole operation, they'll never recover without him. But yeah, the movie is pretty good. I was actually gonna summarize this a couple of months ago, but niggas weren't watching my shit back then, so I decided to wait. Also, the trash videos will be returning. I just wanted to see how this new series would play out. So remember, if you want your movie to do well, just put Zendaya in all your trailers and posters, despite giving her a minimal role, and I'm sure you'll fool enough niggas to sell out opening weekend. Okay guys, make sure that when you subscribe you hit the notification button, because that lets you know whenever I make a new video, and as always, thanks for watching.